Hey Jasmine, so it seemed like we missed each other on Thursday, so I thought I'd just go ahead and make this video to explain things a little bit more in case we didn't have a chance to meet up in Zoom before the paper was due. So I'm just going to go through and explain my comments a little more in depth. Here, I'm saying that I'm not seeing a clear connection between this hook and your topic because I think one thing that is missing and that you might clarify more in the paper, I might be planning to clarify more in the paper, is what exactly happened. That might be what should go here where it says background context. I think that you're focusing on prompt one, I believe, about the challenge that you faced. And so here, in the background and context, explain exactly what that challenge was. And then here, unemployment rates in June 2015 in Delaware, that is background on maybe like some job stuff, but I don't think it's background that we need here. Um, I think that this hook could be really good if you go on to say something like, we live in a world of it's a man's world and I'm tired of it, aren't you? Answer, yes. Um, we live in a world of it's a man's world and I'm tired of it, aren't you? Maybe a transition like I got to see some of this firsthand when I was dealt with unfairly at work. That would give us a clear idea of the challenge you're talking about. Here, I don't think you need this part about the landlord. I realize that's a part of the situation, but that's not, you don't really talk about it again. So I think focusing more on how this experience taught you that you need to prepare and be ready for anything. That's one of the things. And again, if you actually think that the lesson you learned was like to always stand up for yourself, which I think is down here as well. Um, yeah, I made this comment beforehand. I would honestly consider making a thesis statement that said something like, I lost my job and was unemployed. And I'm not 100% sure because it's never outlined, but as I'm reading, it's seeming like um, you are, yeah, it's seeming like you lost your job for unfair treatment. So I lost my job and was unemployed, and then maybe say, like, I unfairly lost my job and faced challenges from being unemployed, but I did learn that it's important to stick up for myself. Or, and I learned that you've always got to have a backup plan. Whatever the lesson is, that's what should be coming through clearly in the thesis statement. So this paragraph explains how you were affected on one level, the financial one. It'd be a good place to reflect on other ways you were impacted. And I said to make this the second paragraph of your paper because my recommendation for this particular prompt, I think the prompt asks you to describe a challenge or a setback or a failure. And I think you're describing a challenge. And the first question is what happened? So that is the first paragraph of your body paper, or the first body paragraph of your paper. How it impacted you is the second question of the prompt. And finally, what did you learn from it is the third question. So my recommendation for that was to break it up so that in every single paragraph, you're answering one of those questions about this challenge you faced. And then the thesis statement, you bring it all together and you're like, okay, this thing happened to me and it was really hard, but I learned. And that would be the flow of your thesis statement. Because I'm guessing when you're saying rejecting somebody's advances, which if that's the case, I'm really sorry that happened to you. That's terrible. Yeah, and so that's why I think that this paragraph could be moved up to be the first main paragraph where you explain a little bit of like what happened to you. This is an important part of the story, but the main focus in the final paragraph should be what you learned from this experience. So what I would recommend you do is, like I was just saying, put everything that happened into the first body paragraph. In the second body paragraph, explain how that impacted you. And in the third, what you learned. Because I love this final thought, never give up and always stand up for yourself, even if it's to a higher authority. This seems like the heart of your whole paper. And sometimes that happens when we write. It takes us until the end to be like, yep, this is what I want to say. But now that you know it, get that into your thesis statement and make that the focus. The challenge you face taught you to never give up, to stand up for yourself, and to, like, I don't know, you talk a little bit about needing a backup plan, but I don't even know that that's as important because clearly you did stand up for yourself. And I think that that is really the heart of the experience. So that would be my recommendation to you. I hope that's clear. Here, I just said, I've been telling this to everybody, the actual conclusion of the paper should be at least 3 sentences long. I just don't want you to conclude with a single sentence. Just make sure every single paragraph you write is at least 3 sentences long. So hopefully that gives you a little more guidance. So I'm going to email this to you, and let me know if you have any questions after listening to it.